Okay, welcome to episode number 8 of Game Callers. Remy Zanotto is my guest today. Victoria Royals, manager of broadcast and content. Just wrapped up your second season there. What was it like to wrap up year number 2?
It's incredible season in terms of how it ended up, and then playing meaningful hockey down the stretch. That's all you can hope for. So
Mhm.
it was pretty crazy going to the end. We're all sitting there connecting the red bits of yarn to however many playoff scenarios they could be. There was a chance we would have gone down for a play-in game in Portland. It ended up us falling just short, but the guys battled hard. But yeah, pretty crazy season in the Bucks.
Originally being from Colorado, I want to talk about your schooling a little bit before we get to your move to Victoria. Originally from Colorado, but you go to Brock University in St. Catharines. How did Brock come up on your radar, and why the decision to go there for sport management?
So when I graduated, like going into my final year of high school, I was looking at what I wanted to do, and I wanted to go in sport management, wanted to work in hockey, wanted to kind of like be in the GM
Yeah.
type role, and so I was looking at University of Colorado in Colorado Springs, and then through my other research, I found Brock, and at the time I was an Avalanche and a Leafs fan, which when you see Kyle Dubas went to Brock, it's pretty easy to
Yeah.
look at that. But then when I started researching the university more, I'm a dual citizen, so obviously financial considerations as well of being able to go to school in Canada for a
Hmm.
little bit of a better rate than in-state tuition in the States. And when visited Brock and just really loved it, really fell in love with the campus, fell in love with everything there, and it was pretty easy to make that decision. I didn't initially get into sport management. I had to work into it my first year
Okay.
of university. I was not a good student in high school, terrible student in high school. Put it together for my senior year, raised my grades up from like a 2.3 to 3.2 or something like that, and got into Brock under the basis that you can work in.
Right.
And so I did that throughout my first year. Did communications classes and sport management classes.
Yeah, you were also heavily into the BrockTV, and you and I were just talking before we started recording here about Logan Thompson was there for 1 year. What would we say, 2018-19? How much do you remember of his season there at Brock with the Badgers?
That season was incredible. He's definitely the best goalie I ever saw live. And the way he would not just steal games, but just direct the game.
Hmm.
He'd be the factor, making his glove saves, especially as the full right catch, the perfect stretches. You saw exactly the flashes of what he was, and you knew he was going to be something special.
Yeah.
And that was just an incredible season. It was a pretty great year.
Well, I mean, U Sports is famous for, having guys graduate and whether it's go play ECHL or maybe a couple of years in Europe, like that's super common. But to now see Logan Thompson as a full-time starter, like that's just wild. But you did have an idea of like, okay, this guy's like bound for more than U Sports here.
Well, when he wins I think he won almost every award possible that year.
Yeah.
And so you knew he was going to do something, but then he also worked extremely hard and had a lot of. I know when I was talking to the coaching staff before when he was there, the Washington Capitals goaltender coach liked him. The Nashville goaltending coach liked him, from what I heard. And then he goes to the coast, and then I remember I think he was in a goalie fight in the ECHL, the AHL.
Mm.
I remember just like that, like popping up on my timeline, like, oh, that's crazy. Just looking up him again, and was like goaltender of the year in the AHL, then gets the contract and becomes the backup, and just that story of like going from Brock University, like U Sports is the hidden gem. Especially before all the different changes came along in the landscape
Yeah.
recently, U Sports was the hidden gem, as head coach TJ Manisterski used to say for Brock University. Great level hockey. So you'd get these great players, and if they get that opportunity, you're going to see them shine.
Like there are former NHL draft picks in U Sports, and I don't know if a lot of people know that, but yeah, it's super underrated hockey. And if those listening ever have the opportunity to go watch it, like highly encourage you to do so. After you finished Brock, once you graduated from sport management, you were there for a couple more years. Did you have any idea what your broadcast goals were at that point? Were your eyes on the CHL or maybe a move back home? Like, what were you thinking about working there after school?
So COVID hit, and I was still just wrapping up my university degree because I was working full time at BrockTV at that point.
Yeah.
so I started working actually for the university and doing the broadcast again after COVID because I actually was away from the university to do. I was working at a camera shop during COVID because you got to pay the bills.
Yep.
So at that point, broadcasting wasn't really like I obviously loved it. I still loved it. The next goal was going to be okay, reaching out to GOJHL teams. Going to be
Yeah.
what can I do to get more games under the belt, and then luckily got back into doing the Brock University games and doing both men's and women's there as well as other sports, um and then I knew I was ready for the next jump. That I
Mhm.
wanted to take that on as more of the path instead of because a lot of my work comes in the form of photography and videography
Yeah.
around, and the broadcasting was just like a side of that. And then I was looking for other opportunities, and this one came up, and I'm still pinch myself that I got this look because this wasn't necessarily what I would have thought it would be, like what that was coming next on the pipeline,
Mhm.
and it's been an absolute blast.
How did it come up? How did the opportunity come up? What did someone tell you about it? Did you find it online or?
Found it online, LinkedIn. Man,
Wow, classic.
that place for job searching is mind blowing. I've had the most interviews and the most hearing back from places from LinkedIn job searches than any other
Really?
job search. It blows my mind to this day because like especially before I was also looking at videography positions
Mhm.
and video editing and production. So I got to a couple rounds of NHL teams looking for NHL videographers. All those came from LinkedIn as well.
Mhm.
So it just just saw it, applied, and then a whirlwind from there.
Was it a team posting or was it like the former broadcaster throwing it up?
Team posting.
It
So
was
the
a team
team
posting.
posted on LinkedIn. I saw one of the internal staff here at for GSL put it up on their LinkedIn, and then it was like an actual post as well.
Right.
Just applied, threw up, sent. I had a highlight reel and resume all done and ready since I was already looking, as well as some sample clips and
Yep.
sent it off.
What was the move like? Was that a tough decision to kind of up and go back? I guess, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Victoria a little bit closer to Colorado than
Oh
St.
yeah,
Catharines, Ontario?
it's definitely closer. It's not the closest, but definitely
Yeah.
a lot closer. But for me, in talking with my girlfriend Shannon, we knew we were looking at leaving. We were fine with leaving Ontario.
Right.
I had been there 8 years to that point, and it is a big decision, and had to and to also get into that position to leave. We knew we were going to leave eventually, so we started going month to month on rent, and then we started going um, through that, like being ready in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But even then, even if we were ready, since we were ready, had to move within 3 weeks, basically a full 3 week move across the continent.
That's crazy.
It was hectic,
Hectic.
but
Yeah.
very fun. I drove across in my
Mm.
tiny 2-door Hyundai Accent, which I no longer have because there was no way that car was making it
How
after
long's
that.
that drive?
It ended up being 4.5 days. So I actually made it 4 days. Should have been 5, but 10-hour plus straight driving each day. So I
My
worked my
goodness.
way from St. Catharines to Janesville, Wisconsin, from Wisconsin to what was it, Fargo, North Dakota, and then from North Dakota to Bozeman, Montana,
Hmm.
and then Bozeman, Montana initially was going to stay in Everett, but ended up seeing there's no ferries on the Friday, and I had to be there by this Friday to get my keys to my apartment. So I had to
Right.
drive, I think it was 18 hours that last day to get to the ferry as the sun's setting, and on the ferry as the sun's setting underneath the mountains.
Yeah. So there wasn't much time to do a whole ton of sightseeing on the way because you had to get there and pick up the keys.
Oh, full blitz. Oh no. Once
Oh my gosh.
I got in, the headlights flying past as you get on the island. Couldn't see a thing. I drive right past the Save on Foods Memorial Center,
Yeah.
which was I kind of got a little giddy. That was the last little energy boost I needed to get to the hotel. Next morning, go get my keys and then start moving in.
Wow. That's why. Would you ever make the drive across, that way to sightsee? Would you ever make
Yeah,
that trip again, you think? Yeah.
yeah, I would totally. I love road trips, so it's perfect for the Western Hockey League that I like road trips.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a goal to do that and maybe head a little bit further south because up north in that range, you're not once you're past like there's so many stretches of there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like once you're through North Dakota, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Once you get past Bozeman and you get past like you go through the northern bit of Idaho and past Spokane, it is nothing until the mountains.
Just fields.
Oh, the desolate wasteland is what I basically call it. And we hit it on our road trips now, and I'm looking through. I'm like, yep, nope, this is exactly the same as I remember it.
Yeah,
It's just flat nothing.
Feel like you're not even moving, really, I bet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding of a lot of play-by-play roles in the CHL in general is that you're not just doing play-by-play, like whether you're part of creating content for the team or manager of communications. Is that similar with you? What other roles do you have with the team?
Yeah, so basically my role with the team, so managing the broadcast part of my job description is doing the play-by-play, but also working with my game day guy who also we kind of oversee the production in terms of like we have a production company that does all of our stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
managing how it looks. Oh, we didn't like that. We didn't like this cut. We able to look at that from the production side of it, not just the broadcasting.
Yeah.
As well as photo, video, editing and capturing, social media. Recently had to take on a lot of graphics. Our fantastic graphic designer, Ty Didman, ended up getting a job with the Vancouver Canucks. So thanks, Ty, for leaving me with that one. One of my dear friends, Ty. So
Yeah.
we
Way
were
to go,
very
Ty.
excited for him. But now I've had to take on a lot of graphic work as well for that. So it's you have to wear a lot of different hats, unfortunately. But also that seems to be a lot of where broadcasting's going. It's very tough to just
Oh, yeah.
because it's only 2 hours a night or 2 to 3 hours a night for a couple days during the week. You got to
Mhm.
be able to make the money somehow. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we have a
Well,
lot of that here.
even with my role with Newmarket, the team's asked to start doing some interviews to maybe put on the stream, and happy to do it. But then it's like, okay, well, now I got to get to the rink a little bit earlier, prep some questions, which again, no problem. I love it. We even started incorporating highlights from other games and a little bit of graphics, but you're essentially like producing the whole show as well, eh?
It's in a way like I don't have to do a ton during game day, which I feel very lucky for.
Right.
We have an incredible media team here that we built out with Mia, who's our social media coordinator, Tim, our our business director. He has a extensive content background,
Right.
but also we had a really solid intern media team, and also on the game day side, I didn't have to do. I was able to set the pieces or help set the pieces and look back on it and make recommendations
Right.
like from the past. But then during the game, like I'll know I set what the intermissions are going to be. I set like for the broadcast,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have to touch the content anymore like during
Gotcha.
the game, which is really helpful. Last year I had to do intermission posting like on socials, and
Yeah.
even then like trying to do a intermission, especially say if it goes to a shootout, God forbid, which we'd lose a lot in shootouts too. But so we'd go to shootout and I have to make a shootout graphic. And I'd be talking, making the shootout graphic as the shootout's about to begin.
Oh no.
And so just pure panic. But it was this year we have a really solid team. And I couldn't be more thankful for them because they do a lot of that handling,
Mm-hmm.
which is really great. And that's also top tier content here.
Yeah, what do you do for your intermission breaks? And do you do any sort of pregame stuff before puck drop?
So we don't do any pregame. We're pretty much live right as about the players are starting to come on.
Yeah.
So that carried over from last year. Didn't really do too much on traditional radio with the pregame show, and postgame we're pretty quick out of it as well. So the only thing, so with intermission this year, since the move to Victory Plus, which has been fantastic with the free streaming for the Western Hockey League, we moved to they sent like a guidelines. And we decided to follow that exactly for both radio or for our audio only stream and Victory Plus. So it's
Right.
3 segments with a 2-minute break, 2-minute 30 break in between. So about 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And so we fill it with fun video, like whether it's like a fun video, we'll talk about the period, and we'll break it down. If we have highlights that we can show from the game, we will.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, trying to do a lot more just video stuff. It just makes it engage. It gives your content another place to live,
Right.
as well as can engage your fans and your viewers to the team a lot more. One of the sayings we have, one of the big pillars for the Royals, is built by community. So we do a lot of our community stuff on the broadcast. So when the guys recently, say this past game, 2 of our players went to the to Victoria Jubilee Hospital to learn about their robotic surgery equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll play that, and we'll talk about and how that connects to the game. Is one of our great supporters at the Fancy and David Foundation. They donated $275,000 to the Victoria Hospitals Foundation. And so we talk about that, and then that ties it into that. So
Right.
there's a lot of that. We'll also do some fun stuff. Like we had our superhero night, or be a superhero night, on Tuesday versus Everett last week. And you know what? It's my favorite thing to throw random questions at my color commentator, Tony. So asked him what his favorite superhero was. He did not know who. He was like, "Is the Hulk a superhero?" I was like, "Yes."
In what
that
world
just
is the
spiraled.
Hulk not a superhero?
And he doesn't know comics that much, and he also doesn't know power tools, which I found out during trades night because I threw him as many random questions as I could.
Oh no.
But,
He's just terrified. The guy's there to call a hockey game and he's getting asked about tools and superheroes.
well, it's half our call. Sometimes I'll be sitting there and we'll talk about the flow of the game, and that puck goes to the right hand side. Oh well, Tony. Now, just to be like randomly, just like it's not something that he was like, I want to talk about the shots. I'm like, shots
Yeah.
really coming from the perimeter, and he just he'll go on a full tangent. And it's one of my favorite parts about our broadcast is it can be that dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's like all kudos to my color Tony chose on that one. He can put up with me, which
Does
is nice.
Tony go on all the road games with you as well?
I wish, but no, he doesn't. So he does only the home games. He's a full-time reporter
Right.
during his day job. But I wish he could. We tried to get him to Vancouver a couple of times, but it just didn't work out timing-wise.
Mm-hmm. How different does that make things for you, having to fill a lot more time during the game?
It changes it. It really changes my call to being. I feel like I'm a fairly descriptive. I've tried to tone that down a little bit myself, but fairly descriptive call for TV side because it is a simulcast, so I'm cognizant of that. But then when it's at it's the timing, especially that's the toughest thing that I've talked through it with a bunch of other broadcasters, just that cadence side of being on your own on the road, and especially on the road it's tougher because I'll have ice mics here, and you can when the goal scored, you hear the horn, you hear the crowd, and that. So I'm thinking of like the production side of it. I'm hearing all the excitement. And so I can take a breath. You let that moment breathe. When you're on the road, they scores. It's dead quiet.
And it's no horns,
it's dead
no
quiet,
nothing,
especially
no
when
crowd
you're up
noise.
7-1, and I once had I've had a couple fans not to be too stoked with me if how loud my goal call was a couple times. But they score, and you're just sitting there like, you got to pause a sec because you need to let that still.
Yeah.
You need to get control of yourself, and then you go into it. But it's like that. It's so different. And even though it sounds worse in your ear when you're in that moment, but then when you're looking back on it, usually it's fine. Like there's actually a lot less time than you anticipate. But.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that you kind of pick up on what it's sounding like and wait for that moment to jump back in. I've been trying to work on that lately as well. Even on our home games, we have a fan that does his own horn and like the music comes in, but once he's done blaring his horn 2 or 3 times, then I'll jump in. Sometimes he doesn't have the horn, sometimes he's not at the game. So it's kind of a battle between what's going to happen after the goal, but you just listen, right? It's good to take a break and to pause a little bit. Now I want to ask you about the schedule for the WHL. I was expecting a lot of travel, which obviously there is, but you play the US teams. The US and the BC division are in the same conference, and I noticed that you traveled to the Eastern division. You played all them once, and then the Central division visited you once. Is that how the schedule is kind of broken down?
Yeah, so you're going to play every team at least once.
Right.
With usually your in division, you're going to play 8 times. You're going to play four home, 4 away. That changed this year with Penticton coming in. So we actually had our numbers get changed. We actually ended up only playing Kamloops 4 times, which was kind of wild, especially when you play Everett 5 times because you play the states. What it was the normal format before Penticton came in was you'd play then the states 4 times, 2 and 2, and then you'd play one team in that division 1 extra time. Last year for us it was Seattle. We played them 5 times. This year we played Everett 5 times. Next year I'm interested to see how it goes because I've heard we're going back to 8 like full BC division games.
Yeah.
That will impact the US division. So, and then you flop which way goes where. So this last year we went to the Central, and then this year the Central came to us, and we went to the East.
Yeah. So those East games, is that one long road trip just to get them all done? And how long was that?
So that was a couple weeks. So we left around, I think, the 13th of January. We ended up getting back the 27th, maybe 26th.
That's 2 full weeks just to play them all once. That's a long time on the road. Do you enjoy that road trip, or are you itching to get back home after a few days?
I personally love the road, and so I actually really enjoyed. I really enjoy those long road trips. It can be a bit long by the end, but for us this year, I mean, you have 2 basically 13-hour days to get out there. So a lot of consideration for the Western Hockey League is bus driver hours.
Yeah.
Because they can only work up to 13 hours, I think, in a row before they need an 8-hour exact rest.
Right.
So there's a lot of your travels based on that. So we took 2 days to go out. We stopped in Medicine Hat on the way up. And then on the way back, since we finished in Swift Current, we actually drove all the way back to the fair. We actually ended up getting to the ferry terminal at like maybe 1 in the next day. So like overnight you drive, you pick up breakfast in the morning, and you guys sleep on the bus, and you get to the ferry and catch the ferry over.
Yeah, what do you do to kill time on those bus trips? Are you a movie watcher, a book reader, a sleeper?
It's a mix of everything.
Everything.
I'll end up passing out usually for parts of it, but I'll get a lot of work done. I'll try to get as much work done as I can, and then sometimes on like the really windy roads, I feel like I'm a kid again in the back seat, like just getting swayed across, so I get a little motion sick. But I'll watch movies, listen to music. When the latest Pokemon game came out on the Switch, me and my equipment manager both were playing that at the same time.
There you go.
So he'd be up in the front, and we were just like peeking over, like, "What are you doing?" And then also it's just like some of the guys, they'll play cribbage. So on the drive back from Prince George once, I fall asleep in the morning because I think we left at 5 in the morning, and I wake up and I look, and then the guys are like in front of me on like the top of the Gatorade cooler. They're playing cribbage. I'm just like, what the heck? So you learn new things.
Isn't that like a really old game? My parents, they're not really old, but they used to play that like after dinner. Like, how does this find its way into the bus of a WHL team full of teenagers?
It blows my mind every day.
That's absurd.
And I told that story coming back here, and my producer, who's I think she may be only like 4 years older than me, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I play crib," and I go, "Crib? Like why does everyone just have the slang term for this ready to go? I've never even played this game, let alone like seen it in action."
Yeah, it's like the card game, and then you have that like wooden board with the pegs, and you move around. Is that one? Yeah. Okay,
so
now
I had 3 16-year-olds try to explain it to me, and it hurt my head.
I don't even. Euchre is another game that is just too much for me. I've never cared to learn it. Like, I think my aunt tried to teach me it when I was like 14, and I'm like, I'm too young to be trying to figure out this game, and so I've never learned it. Another question is about your notes on the road. Jack Moore, who I referenced before we started recording, Oshawa General's radio guy, he prints, when they go on a road trip, he prints all the rosters beforehand and then leaves a little bit of room to handwrite some notes. Are there printers at the hotels on the way, or what do you do when you go on the road for notes?
Yeah, there's printers on the road. I've been, especially with the development of my latest game sheet, I kind of have to tailor it to where I'm at. So either I'll do it like a legal size. That'll be the preference. if I can do it like the big size, but not ever prints it. And actually, we don't even have legal size paper here. So I'm thinking for next year, I'm gonna have to get my own stock. But the hotels will usually have printers. They'll have a business center, so that's usually where I'll end up printing all my notes beforehand because I have to have. For me, I always have this sheet of paper that's just 2 columns, and it has every player on that roster, number,
Yep.
name, and then last name is all caps.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Something to look into also is a portable printer who there's a guy I know, Matt Cullen. He's been very helpful to me over the years. He's done NLL games and Olympics before, and I got the chance to shadow him a couple weeks ago at a lacrosse game in Oshawa. And he has this printer that fits in his backpack. I don't know how much it costs. I don't know the brand of it, but I learned that day that there's such thing as a portable printer. So that's what he uses. I don't know if that's something
oh my
you could
god,
look into to print your legal sheets, but I was taken aback when he pulled that out of his bag.
I might have to get a bigger Pelican case.
It was
All
nuts.
my gear is going to be moved into a bigger case because that sounds honestly perfect.
Oh, I'm sure it would be a lifesaver for sure. Um, I came across you first, Remy. Actually, when I was scrolling through Instagram, I came across some of your TikTok reels, and you're creating some content, whether it's tours of visiting arenas or some a detailed look at some of your notes. I wrote down a couple things here. There's a corner booth in Seattle, in Penticton. There's a ladder to the booth in Swift Current. In Portland, you're in the middle of the sections with like 20 rows of people behind you. And in Tri City, you're in the stands too. What is going on with the booths in the WHL?
It's wild, honest, because then you also go from that to you're in Rogers Place. You're in the NHL booth there,
Yeah.
and you are 3 decades away from the ice surface. I swear to God, you're watching a game from 1970 based on how fast the light will move from the ice surface up top,
Hmm.
and you can't see a thing. But you're in the I open up the door and it says Nashville Predators radio on it, and you're sitting there like,
That's so cool.
okay, I went from you go from plywood floor underneath you in Swift, like taking it or like in a historic building too, but
Oh, yeah.
older, and you're just like, well, this is quite the duality
Yeah.
of the
Quite the
broadcast.
shift. What was it like, or what is it like? How often do you get to call games at Rogers Place? How often are the Oil like? Do they have
So
a
it's
home? They have a
once
home
2
rink, don't
years.
they?
That is their home. So that's
Oh,
the
it is
home
their
rink
home
of the
rink.
Oil Kings. So yeah, so then their practice ice is the practice facility. That's also right
Oh,
there, which is also home to one of the U Sports schools there. So they actually the U Sports school plays out of there. So your practice ice are in the wind, and then you go to the main one. You're in the visiting NHL room.
that's so cool. Do you actually have issues with seeing the ice from up high? I was in Buffalo a couple weekends ago, and we were sitting almost near the top of the building, and I looked around, and it was the broadcast booth, and I'm like, if I'm standing in there, there's like I'm gonna have a tough time. Is it like high enough that you're sometimes questioning the numbers on the back of the jerseys?
It's tough. You have to look for different markers, right? So
Mm,
I mean, it's honestly similar in the terms of like when you get the corner booth, you can't see the numbers on the far side circles, right? So
yeah.
you're thinking, okay, context clues. I know what lines on the ice. I've seen them play before. If you can see on like say it's not a theme game jersey,
Hmm.
the side numbers are structured well enough you can actually read them kind of.
Right.
But then like when we were in Edmonton last year, I remember it was Keaton Verhoff scoring, and luckily I was like, well, the only person that build on the ice right now is Keaton Verhoff. I know exactly who it is. He takes a shot. I call it Verhoff scores. And also they have like TV, so you have one massive TV
That's
on
what I
your
was gonna
left
ask about next. Yeah.
and the TV on your right. And luckily, they do a great production there at Rogers Place, even for the Edmonton Oil Kings games, so you can still see it.
Hmm.
And so that you're looking at your TVs a lot more. I remember so Edmonton it was Grayson Souchin, and he was wearing a bubble that night, and thank goodness because he was all over he's an incredible player. Now I think he was a Florida draft pick, and but he had a bubble on, and so that made it easier. Be like, okay, Souchin takes the puck, he'll take it over the blue line. Like that made it.
There's
You get
always
those
one
context.
distinguishable feature about some players, whether it is like a bubble or even like stick tape.
Yep,
There's
100%.
something, sometimes a guy always has his jersey tucked into his back for some reason. But yeah, I rely on those pretty heavily as well. Um, those corner booths, like, have you ever thought about taking a pair of binoculars to a game, or do you like how heavily do you rely on the monitors beside you on the for the Victory Plus shows?
So for Edmonton, I was actually debating legitimately going to like Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop to get like a pair of binoculars because I heard it was bad and it was there. It was to a level where it was like, okay, it wouldn't help, but it was tempting.
Yeah.
The corner, well, the issue with, I mean, not issue. It's for a lot of places you won't get a monitor.
Oh,
So you're
okay.
actually like, because you're placed in a radio booth, there's no video feed coming in. So you're reliant on, okay, if you're a lot of places in the Western Hockey League, the replays on the Jumbotron are going to be similar to what they're shown on the broadcast. So for us here at home, we have a monitor, which because we do get different replays, which is thank
Mhm.
God my production team here got that set up because that helps so much. Like being able to have a reference monitor of exactly what the your audience is
Yeah,
seeing is
absolutely.
crucial, I think, to me. And so when you're on the road and you don't get that, you pretty much just have to rely on your description of the play
Mhm.
or hopefully you can trust that the replays are the same on the Jumbotron. One place in Penticton, their away broadcast setup is fantastic. They give you a lot of control over the away feed, so you can actually load up your own videos. I was used as a guinea pig by their
Oh,
director
great.
because I feel like I'm the only. There's not many broadcasters that want to do that.
Right.
Like for the roadside, they view a lot of there's just the radio. Like there are a lot of broadcasters who aren't even affiliated with just the team. They are the radio station
Yeah, yeah,
that are
exactly.
contracted by the team, right?
Yeah.
So there's there's that. Like he was like, oh well, yeah, I'll get this set up for you. I'll give you a video feed, and I have videos that I can preload, and all of a sudden they're on the away feed as well. And then I'll have a separate monitor for replays and all that. So that's always whenever you can. Those are so crucial. But then for corner booths, actually, you end up not you end up still having to rely on your pure eyesight.
Yeah. Yeah, you've gone over a couple of features that might make a great booth, but what makes a great booth for you? Is it having a monitor? Is it space? Is it the location of the booth? What do you, what would, if you were to create your own, what would it look like and
Mm.
where would it be?
I think having a monitor is a luxury, and I think it'd be a top priority, honestly. Um, Also, access to cables, and um, I really like it when for a booth that's perfect for me or a rink that even has it is good ice mics.
Yes.
Kelowna has great ones. We have some pretty stellar ones here, which was one of the big things that I had to ask for a lot. Not this past season, but the season before. And then once we got them in, it's a world of a
It
difference being
makes a
able to hear
huge
it.
difference. Yeah.
So adding that, realistically, having an elevator is nice, but it's not as necessary. Um, the amount of space too is it's nice to have like a really big booth in say Spokane where you're in a mat. It's a little bit too big
Mm-hmm.
to be fair, but it's nice to have, but you don't necessarily need it. But it's a little bit of the ease of access, the ability to run down and get to your locker room, especially, is really nice because especially last 2 seasons ago when I had to do those, I had to do post game wraps, I had to get the highlights up, and you had to do that all within a certain time frame.
Yeah.
And so you end up sprinting, and you're catching the bus right at the end. Or if you need interviews, it's a little too late to get interviews
Mm-hmm.
at the end once you're finally wrapped up top. So being able to get down to where the event level is swiftly is chef's kiss.
Yeah, talking about getting down, like I said, you got some really good videos on your Instagram and TikTok as well, showing the tours from the entrance of the building all the way up to the booth. At what point did you decide, yeah, I'm gonna start making some of these videos. I'll start pouring some content out for the play-by-play lovers because I love that stuff.
So I remember I saw Regan Bartel for Kelowna did him walking up the stairs at the Brant Center in Regina because it's famously way too many steps to get up
Right.
to the broadcast booth. It's basically like a massive end up cascading spiral of stairs all the way up where I ended up filming it. I don't know where those video clips ended up because I also nearly like tripped on like the second to last steps, and part of the video is just me hunched over like heaving,
Oh
basically trying
no.
to survive. But it was after that, and we go to Swift, and I heard all about the ladder, and even the coaching staff was, Remy, you're gonna have fun with the ladder.
Yeah,
And
you're ready for it.
so I was like, okay, I have to show this off. Like, this is fun. And then that actually did surprising, like, not even just well, like it did really well, like in terms of view numbers, but I
Yeah.
wasn't really too worried about that. What I heard from one of our manager of hockey development, Brad Leap, who does our junior Royals stuff, he commented on it. He's like, we should get a booth tour of all the rinks. And I go, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And like to show it off and like change up. It's really quick for me to do. Like I'll film it when I'm walking up. I'll set up the booth, get the shots, and it's really trying to show off. Not even show off, just trying to show what this job is.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in middle of nowhere, Colorado. I would not have ever known about this as like an actual something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to see it and understand it, and also learn and try to like even show like what great follow on Instagram is Brendan Burke, the play for the Islanders, and he showed his notes during the whole Olympics. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing that, I remember when I was developing my notes and developing what I want to know in terms of a broadcast, seeing that was so helpful, and also I loved it personally.
Yeah.
Like to see that and see what other people do. So I was like, you know what, we have an interesting world out here in the Western Hockey League, so I'd love to show it.
I've gone through a couple different versions of like templates or layouts of how my boards they've changed over the years, and I think I've got to a point where I like it. But I always like seeing what people have, font sizes, if their numbers are in numerical order, or if they have it separated by forwards, defense, goalies, what the big pieces of info are on their notes. And I want to ask you, because preparation, like, it can go on and on and on. We kind of just get to a point where we're comfortable with what we have. What are some non-negotiables on your boards or your roster sheets that you have to have? For me, it's milestone goals and milestone shutouts. If someone gets their first, like, I need to know the firsts for some players. Do you have any information like that you got to have or got to be ready for?
I think definitely the first goal. The first goal in the Western Hockey League or in anywhere is one of the biggest one, because that audio clip, especially if you're the home broadcaster here in the Western Hockey League. If you're the away, it's not as like that clip's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
That clip isn't what the family sees. But it's also, I still think, I mean, for me, it's still crucial to be on point for every single game, home and away. There's a lot of pressure on that call, because that is the goal if they make it to 5 years in the Western Hockey League, that clip's going first.
Oh yeah, that's the very
in the
first
highlight
one.
reel. And it happens where I've had to cut a lot of these overager videos together over the past 2 seasons, and you hear first goal calls, and if their name's wrong, like, yeah,
You can't get it back.
Kills you inside.
You don't get it back.
So it or even like something gets messed up. So it's being able to know that point right there, and it's for everyone too. It's not like, oh, it's the first for this first round pick. It's for this defenseman who might not play today, but he might, and he gets in. And I mean, I feel very, I'd be done without my notes if I didn't have that exact thing, because it happened here. A buzzer beater with like 0.2 seconds left. Jake Mazura scored on a face-off drawback and just sent one to the net, tucks it. And it's like, you have to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready for that moment. So I think I agree with you. Having those milestone ones is important. For me, at least, the bare minimum that I need to call a game is numbers and names would be it's
obviously, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, some places, like, you don't get that too often, like, or get that right away. I had a moment when I was working, I did a broadcast for Rugby Ontario, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a whole day thing, and working a broadcast, and it was just an incredibly long day. Andrea Burke, she was a long-time Canadian women's rugby player. She also when I did that, fresh off broadcasting the Olympics for the Paris Olympics.
Oh wow.
For rugby, and I mean, rugby is not my number one sport, so it was a little bit of a oh God, like I
Hmm.
better do well here. And we didn't get names or numbers off the hop, but she had the connections down there that she was able to like get exactly who, and even then it wasn't perfect. So sometimes you have to be ready to fly like that by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
So
There was one time, well, actually, when I first started out east at a university there, the roster would always be up in the booth, and I would just use that, and I'd add in like their point totals. And then when there was one time I went to fill in across town at another university to do a volleyball game, I was expecting the same sort of situation. There was no rosters there, and like that's on us. Like we have to be prepared, but that is the first and the only time that I've ever shown up without a roster. Like from that point on, that I never happened again. I always prep. I always bring my own rosters because like that's the worst. You go to call a game like if you don't have names and numbers, like what are you doing?
oh, you're toast. But also then from that, pronunciations.
Oh
And
yeah.
so we have a really good setup in this league where roster gets sent out 99% of the time they're going to have a pronunciation guide with them. And I take a lot of pride in my pronunciation guides
Yep.
for other broadcasters because there's nothing worse than hearing on the PA or on a broadcast that name is I feel like it's not respectful.
Oh, it's not. I
And
agree with you
so
100%.
a big thing for me was when I was in U Sports, and I feel like this is the biggest note that I ever passed on to any broadcaster I worked with. You got to have the confidence to go down there and knock on the coach's door and talk with them. And I got to meet a lot of great coaches that way. But you're asking questions about the team, asking questions about where they're going from here,
Hmm.
like what they expect from the game. Just info for the broadcast, but also going through every pronunciation and making sure you get it right. Especially we had the Queen's Cup final at Brock, and I remember hearing from the broadcasters like McGill was in town. You have to go, or
A lot of
whenever like
French
the
names.
French names especially they come
Yeah.
into town. When UQTR played a game against Brock, even no matter how hard the name is, you got to get it right. So one of my favorite names in all of U Sports, Loris Rafano Mensensoa, and it's the full name.
Say it again.
The full last name is Rafano Mensensoa.
Rafano Mensensoa.
So that's the last name. Loris is the first name.
Oh my goodness.
And so you go down to the coaches and you're genuinely asking them about like the team and what they're excited for, and a lot of the coaches really like that,
Yeah.
and it enhances your broadcast so much.
Oh, big
and
time.
I got taught that from my first day, but then also the big thing was getting those names right because I would have looked at that name and would have had a heart attack like my first time. I remember when I typed it in, I was like, "Yep, that's a name I'm asking about."
Do a little star beside it. This is I'm gonna bring this up because it's relevant, obviously, to the pronunciations. It's football related. I don't know if you saw this video a couple weeks ago. I don't know the name of the host or what show it was on, but they were talking to Travis Etienne, is what we all say, and he
That's
said that's
H-N,
not.
right?
Yeah, Achan, and that I don't know exactly what Travis was saying during the interview. He's like, "Well, this is how I actually pronounced it growing up, but it didn't bother me when I got to the NFL because that's just how everybody said it." And the guy was like, "No, man, like that's your name. Like that is incredibly important. Like say it with your chest, and if people will should start saying your name the way it's supposed to be said." Right? It's a
100%.
big respect thing, and I agree with you 100% there. Um, what else did I was writing down a couple notes here while you were talking there. Um, this goes back to some calls. Oh, the first goal thing. Um, Arguably more important for players that don't play 5 seasons
Mhm.
in the CHL, that don't go on to play a higher level of hockey. Sometimes they only get one goal. So it's big for those people as well. Are there any goal calls, whether it is a first goal or a first shutout or playoff game or whatever? Are there any calls that you are like, yeah, I hit the mark there and I'm really proud of that one. That sounded great.
I remember that one I mentioned, the Jake Missouri one. I was actually very proud that I actually that because it was also such a split second play to see that it was him. Um, I really enjoyed first game of the year this season, first game ever for the Penticton V's in the WHL,
Hmm.
and Ethan Eskett, his first ever game for the Victoria Royals, comes in and gets the shutout in a game where we should not have won based off the first period. He was outstanding, and I remember the end of that call being like Ethan asked, like getting the first shutout in his debut for the Victoria Royals. I remember that one quite fondly. Then there's some other ones. I mean, actually, Keaton Verhoff's first one, my first ever game in the Western Hockey League. I was actually I look back at that one and I'm still happy with it. There's not many calls last year where I
Yeah,
look back because I mean, you develop so much as a year goes on. There's
big
a
time.
lot of
Yeah.
calls. There's a lot of calls last year. I'm like, you know what? I have definitely improved, and so a lot of those ones, like where it's like the first ones, it's this year. This year was a couple of those first ones. I had a lot of juice for Ludovic Perreault's first Western Hockey League hat trick, so much so that the Vancouver color commentator, legendary Bill Wilms, was like, I've never heard anyone so loud as that guy down by the booth
No
because you could hear me
way.
3 booths over.
Oh wow, that's great. It's
Yeah,
always
it's
nice
neat
to
for that
get,
one.
yeah, get complimented indirectly like that. That guy's loud. He loves it. That's awesome. What makes a call a great call? I asked my last guest Daniela Ponticelli about this, and because we had been talking or sort of alluding to it. Um, is it timing? Is it saying the right things? Is it being succinct with your wording and getting out of there and letting the crowd take it? In your opinion, because it's a very subjective thing, what makes a call great?
It depends on the moment, right? There's the right call for every type of moment. I think
Okay.
back to last year, playoffs, game 3 of round 2, and we win it with 30 seconds left. And that one, in that moment, like there's a bit more pauses. I'm not saying you're not saying every word known to man.
Hmm.
I feel like it's in a way it's all of it, all combined to make a perfect call.
Yeah.
Now, by no means I would ever say that call was perfect, but when I think of the perfect calls, I mean, first one that comes to mind, Doc Emmerich is probably my biggest influence, my favorite commentator of all time. But I think Crosby off the bench, Kunitz a shot, scores, and I think immediately of that moment, and not it is describing it, but also you're getting the perfect mix of the crowd in there. You're getting the buildup of that energy. You see like the slight thing of the pucks in the corner. It gets up top. Kunitz a shot, scores, like that energy rise
And they're
all the way
going to the
through it.
final. Was that the Eastern Conference final against
Was
the
it against the Sens?
Sens? Yeah, Game 7 overtime. Yeah, Doc's a legend. The waffle boarded away. I remember playing NHL. I don't know which one it was that he voiced. I was like, what is that word? Like, what is he saying? And then I finally understand because that's what an old blocker used to look like. But he's a legend. Any other broadcasters that you like listening to, current or retired?
Oh, there's tons. I mean, I one nice thing about actually being on the road a fair bit here is hotels all have Sportsnet, all have TSN, all have,
Hmm.
and in the States, not as much. Unfortunately, not as much hockey being played unless you're near Seattle. But when you get a chance to just listen, I definitely John Forsland's just top class
Hmm.
for Seattle. I grew up on the Avalanche broadcasters, so Mark Moser, the energy he brings is just something that I've always loved, and that's where like. I'm not an even keel broadcaster to say the least.
Hmm.
I definitely follow the peaks and valleys, as it were,
Yep.
and I think that's due to loving those broadcasts as a kid. Trying to think if there's. I mean, once again, Doc Emmerich, really like Brendan Burke's out in New York with the Islanders.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of broadcasters who influence even just little bits. I remember when I was a kid listening to the Flyers. I believe he's now the play-by-play there for the TV side, but he was radio. And my dad and I used to do a lot of long time drives back from where I grew up in Colorado. You had to drive like 4 hours for hockey
Holy.
for your games. So we'd go to Denver and we'd be on the way back, and he'd turn on NHL radio. And I remember listening to a Flyer shootout, and it was like Claude Giroux, and like I just for some reason I remember the exact like pitch that like the pitch that he hit, like in super high pitch goal call that I'd never do, but I love like the energy and like that build up, and you're sitting in the car, and I'm not a Flyers fan. I don't care about the
Yeah,
Flyers
still
in that
got you
moment.
going though.
And you're sitting there like, holy cow, like just won a huge moment, and you're just in a car driving back in pitch black night, and
Yeah,
it was still just sits with you.
just fired up. Yeah, there's always a couple that stick with you when you're growing up and then kind of make you realize I might want to do this for a living and then you find a pathway to it, whether it's university or helping out with the junior team, whatever it might be. Um, you talked about the peaks and valleys now and maybe an area to that you're still improving. When you look back at when you first started, where are the biggest areas of improvement?
It was a lot of them were in terms of needing the reps to understand what to say at the right time and not having those mental stutters in a way, which
Right.
is, I mean, I still have it every now and then here. Everyone's forever evolving, but with looking at it as being consistent, understanding how to control what you're saying, and also not to just also lose your voice at every moment.
Mm,
There is a bit of regulation. I mean, and that's what I learned a lot this year. Last year, like my calls, I feel I was very aggressive, or not even aggressive, just like ready to go at the drop of a hat, ready to like have a big moment. But it's building and understanding that, and then also just varying words. I think that's everyone has safe phrases, right?
oh yeah.
So it's learning how to change that up. I actually have a little like warm up exercise that I do now to help try to vary my words. But
I have crutch words and I like try to avoid them, but I need to start listening more often and writing down a vocabulary of different ways to describe certain things. And you talk about being too hot on a goal. Daniela Ponicelli referenced Bob Cole, the Bob Cole ladder, and being okay. What is a it's a 1 to 6 scale, I think she said, and a 6 is Stanley Cup final winner, and a 1 is whatever it might be. But you never want to be a 6. So kind of figure out where you are at certain times. But no, you referenced some good points, and the idea of the podcast is just to help out, well, myself and others who hope to one day be calling sports at whatever level. Any advice that you would have for those looking to break into the industry? This is my final question for you. I always like leaving it to the end, but you did allude to going down and having the confidence to talk to coaches to get some quotes because those are very important for a broadcast. Watching your peaks and your valleys. Any other pieces of advice that you would relay to those one day hoping to get into the industry?
the biggest thing is repetition. It's quantity of broadcasts, and I feel so fortunate being in this league that I get to have 68 plus games to work on and
Hmm.
to improve every single night. And another big thing is also being able to healthily self critique and being also willing to give yourself a little bit of understanding, because
Okay.
sometimes I feel in general, I mean, from what other people, I know this isn't just me, but I can be very hypercritical of my own work, of my own, whether it's videos, whether it's edits, whether it's graphics, or especially my calls. I'll sit there and I'll listen. I'll go, oh, I didn't like that, didn't like that, didn't like that. But also understanding that, okay, that is sure that's one little hiccup
Hmm.
in a sea of good things that you did. Being able to look at it and understand where you went, but also not beating yourself up about it. That's a big one for me, especially also looking at processes and how you got to that point of, okay, well, why did I choose to say that? Well, I thought this. Well, in that situation, well, we think of it differently,
Right.
and so you can. It's good to go methodically through it and make actionable items, and that helps you from being super negative in terms of like, oh, I just hate this, to being, okay, I didn't like that point, but here's how I can fix it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's huge
No,
personally.
that's a good way to. My question was going to be, how do you critique yourself in a healthy way? But that's a good way to put it. Kind of look at the things that you're doing right. Maybe look at why you just did it that way that you don't like, and see how you can improve it next time. Repetition is a big one that we get a lot, and sometimes people are a little bit more specific in that. Yeah, it's great to get the reps and to see what you're doing wrong out of the gates immediately, but also take one thing and work on that the next game, like one specific thing, whether it is um, leaving some room at the end of a goal to let the crowd take it, or finding a couple different ways to describe a team entering the offensive zone or whatever it might be. But take one or two things, work on game by game. But yeah, take some time, enjoy the off season. I really appreciate your time.
No worries. Who needs time off? We're all in sports. We all understand this is
Fair enough.
This is the trip that you go on. Everyone's like, oh well, don't you get tired? And I was like, well, you
We
get
love it.
tired, but then you sleep, and then you don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Doing this job every day, it's not a job. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like work. Every day you come in, and I've never had a day where I come into the game, even when it's a 3:30. You have to wake up and get to the bus by 5. I've never had a moment where I go, no, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah. Some days when the days are long, at the end of the day, you look at yourself and go, I'm at a hockey arena for work. It's not that bad. So
Never that bad.
yeah.